Welcome back. It's time for Media Watch. James Creedon's here. James, what are you going to talk to us about?
Suspense. It's all about Occupy Wall Street tonight, Mark. I suppose a laughing matter in some ways, but not in others. Clashes on the streets of New York, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the websites, such as Storyful and Storify, you've got all of these new websites that collate what's happening in social media. You've got Storyful. This is another one, Storify. And what they do is they troll through social media and try to pick out the most interesting elements of what's being said. Especially interesting for something like Occupy Wall Street and these protest movements, which were born in many ways on these social media, and people communicate with each other via these social media. So some of the tweets that were interesting. If only they enforced bank regulations like they do park rules, we wouldn't be in this mess. Because of course they were thrown out of Zuccotti Park earlier this week because they weren't complying supposedly with the park rules, which is private property. And they're saying here, well, actually, we wouldn't be demonstrating if they were enforcing banking regulations.
Okay, so that's Estelle with that one. This is the next one from...
this is something that I've been seeing more and more of people suspecting, and this is purely, I suppose we're just surmising for now, we don't know, that Twitter is in some way suppressing trending topics. Now, they're saying Occupy Wall Street, which is organised with these sort of signs here. You've got a
That's the hashtag thing, yeah.
That's how people search for the messages related to Occupy Wall Street. That they're in some way suppressing the trends, which are, I suppose, the most talked about topics on Twitter. That Twitter is in some way complying with those who want to minimise talk about this.
Is that Twitter playing Big Brother, to be Orwellian about it?
And do you remember when, my God, I'm going to embarrass myself now, the famous incident in the state of Georgia where there was a gentleman electrocuted, he was given the electric chair. Yeah. In any case, they were saying at that moment as well that tweets were being suppressed.
They suppressed tweets on that one. Yeah.
Well, we don't know for sure. So anyway, that's one. That's another thing being spoken about.
I was under the impression they'd taken it off the trending list.
Well, that's what they're saying, but we don't know for sure. Now, another tweet, some bankers are holding signs that say, "Get a job. Unemployment is at 10%, and they're smug in suits." So that was one of the top tweets at one point this afternoon. And it's also been trending under N17, that's for November 17, because of course this is 2 months after the movement started.
Sure.
And so it was a chance for people to get out and demonstrate in that way. Lots of photos going up as well. I thought this one was pretty interesting. This was at a moment when they thought they had taken over Wall Street, but actually that didn't in the end happen. Holding up a sign saying "Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité," the French slogan. I suppose that's kind of ironic because the Occupy protesters have had a lot less success in France. So I'm not sure if that protester there realised the way in which they've been clamped down on.
The event that was held in the the central financial district, La Défense, just in the west of Paris, there were about 30 people there, weren't they?
That's right, but
at lunchtime they dispersed.
That's right, and the riot police have been very, very strict with those protesters. And on the 4th of November, when there was a previous protest, they pulled the tents off them, said you don't have the right to put your tents down here. This was another photo as well on the website.
Gawker.
That was pretty gruesome stuff.
Someone standing on a man's head.
It gets even more gruesome, and so these are the sort of photos that have been circulating online. What's interesting, I suppose, about the way social media operate for protests like this is that they act as a sort of a counter power, a counterbalance to the police. The police are out there trying to control these crowds. If anything goes awry, there's a photo being taken and it's up on social media in no time at all. So it's a way of, I suppose, checks and balances for the police, and it's a means of controlling the level at which they can, I suppose, clamp down. Now, what we're seeing a lot of too is a difference in the treatment of the protests on social media and on traditional media. And a lot of the traditional media, the Occupy movement, is heavily criticised in the US. Here on this...
Why is it criticised?
I suppose a lot of people saying that they don't have any precise demands, they don't really know what they're looking for, they're just ruffians and they're out there creating trouble.
It's part of a general malaise, isn't it, which isn't particularly well focused, except to say these people have messed up the system, we're all the victims.
Exactly, and people are saying, look, you've got to be a bit more focused about it. And that's this article here on the Huffington Post saying, look, it's been in existence now for over 2 months. How could they help solve the identity crisis that Occupy Wall Street have? In many ways, this article is saying what they need to do is adopt almost business-like practices. They're comparing them to a startup company, and they're saying, look, you need a face, you need an image, you need a spokesman, you need someone who could act as a CEO. I think that's pretty ironic, because if they were to do that, they'd become exactly what they're protesting against. But what's interesting is they have actually now got an office space. We can see here in New York Magazine, Occupy Wall Street has a real office now. So perhaps they are beginning to organise themselves in some way, shape or form. So anyway, there's still lots of discussion about it. It's been a big topic on social media today.
Okay, organisation and focus, something we all need. James, thank you very much
Thanks,
indeed. James Creedon with Media Watch. Stay with us here in France on Cap. We've got news, we've got sport, we've got culture, a whole list of things to come. Something on the menu for everybody. Stay with us.